Welcome to Category 5 Technology TV. It's so great to have you here with us this week. It's Sasha and I, and we're going to be learning about the logistics that go into the very things that happen behind the scenes, the stuff that we don't always think about when it comes to retail shipping and when we order for the stocking stuffers that are coming. Well, we expect everything to get here really, really quickly, and there's a lot that goes into that. We don't always think about it. We're going to be learning from one of the largest software companies in the world as far as logistics goes, and we're going to be learning about how that's done and some of the things that are to come from the logistics software industry. Also, we're going to be talking about ways that we can recycle Keurig K-Cups and be a little bit more environmentally friendly. Incidentally, a very good stocking stuffer for us as well, and a massively powerful USB battery device to charge our phone, even our any device. I can't believe how powerful this portable little device is. You want to stick around? Don't go anywhere. Recordings are trusted only to solid-state drives by Kingston Technology. Revive your computer with improved performance and reliability over traditional hard drives with Kingston SSDs.
Category 5 TV streams live with Telestream, Wirecast, and Nimble Streamer. Tune in every week on Roku, Kodi, and other HLS video players. For local showtimes, visit category5.tv.
Category5.tv is a member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. cat5.tv/TPN and the International Association of Internet Broadcasters, cat5.tv/IAIB. Welcome to the show, everybody. Great to have you here. I'm Robbie Ferguson.
I'm Sasha Rickman.
And before we get into the show this week, I want to remind you, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Click that bell, and that's going to make sure that you get the latest notifications anytime we post a new and shiny video. That's going to send you a little push notification to let you know.
Yeah, it works very well for me.
Very, very helpful. Yeah. This week, we've got an interview for you. It's an interesting industry to talk about, one that we never think about.
Right.
Logistics.
It's true.
It is the season, folks. We're all expecting our next day deliveries, our 2-day prime shipping, and logistics is what it comes down to with the Christmas season upon us. And we really expect to have a good supply of product, and we expect it to get here fast.
Immediately.
I even know because my son's birthday is just before Christmas, and so we're looking through and planning things out, and it's okay, well, if we leave it to the last minute, we really, really need it to get here fast. Dan Khasis is here with us. He's the CEO of one of the world's biggest logistics companies. It's called Route for Me, and he joins us this week to discuss the magic that goes into making sure that our parcels arrive in time. Dan, thank you for being here on the show.
Thanks for having me. And just to clarify, it's one of the world's biggest logistics software companies.
Okay. Yes. It's all very complicated, folks. We're going to learn about it here, and Dan's going to help us out with that. Dan, so if you could, explain to us what Route for Me does in general.
Sure. So what we do is we help businesses make a profit. That's kind of our main objective. The logistics space and any business that is intensive in the logistics space.
Yeah.
It's a very cutthroat business. Margins are tight. When we look at what is a business that has logistics intense needs, it's pretty much any business that has a person visiting their clients for any reason. Whether it's a field service call, a delivery, a pickup, pool cleaning, anything that requires a human being to leave a building, that is, in today's market, a logistics business. And so many businesses don't consider themselves traditionally logistical businesses, but in fact, the shift from customers coming, both B2B customers and B2C customers, coming to businesses' place of business, now the reverse is happening where there's an expectation that everyone comes to the customer. But with that, you get much higher complexity,
Yeah.
much higher cost, and you also have a much higher risk because you now have a lot of people out there driving, prone to accidents, going into people's homes, putting stuff in their fridge potentially or their garage. And the compounding effect of all those risks also has a cost that most businesses need to understand.
The crazy thing that's coming to my mind is that with the higher cost that Dan's describing,
Yeah.
we all as consumers are expecting free shipping, free next day,
Exactly.
free 2-day shipping. Like with the evolution of online e-commerce, we'll call it e-commerce. It's kind of an old name for it, but realistically, like most of my shopping is happening online these days.
Mm-hmm.
So how have you seen things evolving as far as the logistics go, Dan?
So when you look at online shopping, I guess the biggest split has been, I would say, the larger mega corporations and then everyone else.
Yeah.
So when we look at the mega corporations, these are the ones who have almost unlimited funds to invest, whether it's a rent, a build, or a buy model. And they'll go out and what they've been doing is identifying opportunities to integrate across different systems. Mm-hmm. So there's a trend that we're now seeing called multi-echelon optimization, which basically means you have lots of systems, you have lots of people upstream and downstream in supply chain, and they don't all play nice and they don't all talk to each other and they don't all talk to each other in the same language. And even if they did, some of the systems are systems that are not real time. And so if you want answers on a shopping cart page and you want to know how much something should cost to ship, or accelerated shipping, or 1 hour shipping, or even 15-minute shipping, you can't compute all that if your system takes 10 minutes to plan a route for your 50 drivers. And so the biggest change is now they're integrating all of these different capabilities so that they can create compelling offers to the customer.
Yeah.
And then actually do what's called demand shaping and change the behavior of the consumer to do things that are more profitable for the organization. By, let's say, here's a coupon for $50 if we can deliver to you 3 days later because we're already going to be in your neighborhood.
Oh,
or
smart.
It's going to cost you the real cost to make this delivery is $250. But because you're a VIP customer, you spend so much money with us, we know ahead of time that it's profitable enough for us to promise it. But at that level, we estimate there's only 3 to 5 companies worldwide that do that.
Yeah.
Everyone else is kind of doing little bits and pieces of it. And when I say that, I mean doing it at scale. I don't mean like, just doing it in downtown Manhattan, but either nationally or internationally.
Sure. And with the holiday season upon us, how does that change the logistics industry and how things work behind the scenes? So because the logistics and the last mile and final mile and the first mile, all these things have one thing in common. And that thing in common is for the foreseeable future, there are human beings involved in the fulfillment part of it. Mm-hmm. And humans get tired, they call out sick, they quit, they get better offers. Their car breaks down. If it's a personal vehicle, and as well as a company vehicle, accidents happen. So what happens especially during these holiday season, influx of parcel, as well as gifts, as well as people ordering flowers and gift baskets from local shops, whatever it may be that they're ordering. When you can have the world's best software giving you the most optimal work plans and routes optimized. Yeah. But if their humans aren't playing ball or they're just not around, there's no way that you can actually leverage that technology. Sasha, I think back to when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
and how we had the Sears catalog, and it was like mail order everything, right, Dan? Do you remember those days when everything was mail order, and we didn't expect 2-day shipping? No, that would be mind blowing. That would be something out of fantasy.
Right.
Realistically, like, you were ordering in November to hopefully get it in time for your December gift giving.
True.
Right.
But in contrast, now it's aggravating if I can't get it in 2 days.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
horrible.
really. And we expect it cheap or free. So Dan, like, how does like the consumer mindset of needing everything so quickly now, like, so we just expect it instantaneously. I'm blown away that half of my Amazon orders, just to use one example, come in next day.
That's true.
And 2 days is acceptable. Anything beyond 2 days, unacceptable, right? How has the consumer been like just absolutely flipping this on its head?
There are some companies out there that are willing to spend a fortune to scale rapidly up and front load their growth.
Yeah.
And they want to do that because they know that once everyone else is out of business, they could control whatever they want, however they want. And so some of the decisions being made and some of the things happening that are enabling these organizations to do same day or next day delivery come at a huge cost that is severely unprofitable. And it's especially unprofitable without the right software and technology. And I think the fundamental difference is that it's with the exception of 2 or 3 global players, if you don't have the sufficient density, it's unsustainable to keep going and making some of these promises, because it's not just about deliveries. It's about pickups. It's about reverse logistics. It's about all the stuff happening out in the field. And what we do in terms of what has changed is that we had a client, they were doing 1 million transactions a day in one geography. To do 1 million transactions a day without using cloud computing and your own mapping cluster and your own navigation systems that you control, it was completely impossible to do that. I mean, some of our mapping clusters, have terabytes of memory and thousands of cores. You could do these problems now in seconds or minutes. That was totally impossible 5 years ago without using scale out elastic cloud computing.
Wow. So I'm hearing like loss leader comes to mind, and like, so these big companies using loss leaders in order to get you to shop through them just for the unbelievable logistics that they're providing. I can't claim, Dan, to really understand the intricacies of the logistics that are involved. Like,
no.
As I say, like, as a consumer, I just expect my parcel to arrive in a timely fashion. I need it to be here on the date that it's expected and not be late. But I don't really understand how that works. It's kind of mind-bending to me, because it's insane to think that I can order something from this multinational company that has it here to me 2 days later. What would you think, Dan, is probably the most misunderstood by consumers as far as how the logistics works?
So there's a lot of pre-staging and pre-planning that goes into it, and there's a lot of inefficiency in that process. So I think I'll give you a few examples. Let's say every time you add something to your shopping cart, there's an 80% chance that you're going to buy it. So companies have now gotten smart enough that by learning your behavior as a consumer, when you add it to your cart and you're one of the people who will typically commit to purchasing what you've added, they'll actually start the shipment on a big truck or a line haul route from one of their distribution centers to the final distribution center or depot before you ever buy it.
No.
Oh.
Are you kidding me?
That's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Now I feel bad when I just leave things in my cart because I do that a lot.
I'm totally adding a bunch of things to my cart just for fun.
So some of them will do that, and then when you order it, it's not coming from the middle of nowhere. It's coming from somewhere. So
unbelievable.
Another type of strategy they might use is on the e-commerce side. Is, let's say there's a certain number of seasonal SKUs or types of things that people order most frequently or most often. So they'll have those obviously distributed in various regions based on the historical demand, plus the anticipated demand, plus perhaps what they call on the demand side, detecting what people demand sensing. So if they're sensing that some banners are clicking really well, it goes back to our multi-echelon optimization, linking the ad campaigns to the shopping carts, to the fulfillment side. What ends up happening is you understand what's happening early on, so you can recruit those drivers early on or subcontract before the competition does. And I think in general, what's most misunderstood is that I think there's this, with the exception of 2 or 3 global players, almost nobody builds their own logistics software systems. It's all mostly rented from someone else. And then when it's not rented, it's mostly run on like a spreadsheet. So some of the, you have companies that are generating hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in revenue. They're running on spreadsheets, or they're running on a combination of consumer maps that they're using for commercial purposes. And it's difficult for the executives to understand what's happening because they're not in the day-to-day operations. And so you have the operations people it's difficult for them to articulate what they need, and then you have the executives who don't really understand what's happening on the ground. So that's certainly another misunderstood challenge in logistics.
Wow. I have to admit, Sasha and Dan and audience, I almost feel guilty because I have about 200 things sitting in my Amazon cart.
Oh, do you?
I do. Because I use it like bookmarks.
Oh.
And now I'm feeling like, okay, how much of the logistics have I impacted just by bookmarking this product? Like, should I be using wish lists or something like that? We are speaking with Dan Khasis. He's the CEO of one of the world's biggest logistics software companies. It's called Route for Me, and we're learning about how the logistics work in this incredible world that we live, where it's really like coming out of the 80s and 90s. I feel like it's almost sci-fi how quickly we expect our deliveries to happen, how we dreamed of being able to place orders on the computer, which was new to me as a child, but being able to place your orders online, and now that's where most of my orders come from, are from online. And it's these amazing logistics and all of the work that goes on behind the scenes that we don't necessarily think of that makes it all happen. Dan, I think about how the technology has changed, and I'm a bit old school. I grew up in the 80s, and so I saw computers and the evolution of them. And now, my kids are growing up in an era where artificial intelligence and machine learning is actually a thing. This is not something from sci-fi. This is really happening. Is this something that is currently impacting logistics? Are you seeing that there is a shift to artificial intelligence, machine learning in the logistics industry?
I think going back to your previous question, when the machine learning model would know that a consumer like you doesn't buy things in the shopping cart. So incorporating that type of technology would help them avoid wasted resources. And then for the other individuals who actually commit to what they add, they would use that technology would indicate that they want what they want accordingly. And I think that we're at the very early stages of ML and AI. And I would say that it's the very beginning of the hype cycle when it comes to what it can do. And from a tech perspective and a programming perspective, it's a lot of really scientific, really statistical and analytical work. You have to look at a lot of data. It's not that kind of exotic type of, thing that people might expect that are happening, like you mentioned, in some of these sci-fi futuristic movies. And it's more about just getting access to tons of data, and you have to be big enough to have that data.
Yeah.
Be big enough to then experiment with that data, do multivariate experiments, do all kinds of tests on different cohorts of users and how they're being affected. And I would just say that a lot of companies in our industry and in many industries in general are taking advantage of the fact that machine learning and artificial intelligence are now buzzwords, and autonomous now part of that lexicon.
Sure. Yeah.
And just adding those initials or acronyms to their product lines, when in fact, what we've seen is even without machine learning and AI, these businesses can, in some cases, we've seen 200, 300% improvement on their business.
Wow.
And the big challenges of ML and AI is that it does things that are statistically significant, or that the computer can understand using all the data that it has, but then explaining it to the human being and to the executive why some of these decisions are being made is very difficult. And so again, the technology is there, but then explaining to people why it decided to do certain things the way it decided, because let's say traffic flow on a specific street on a specific day of the week when school's in season and the temperature is below 24 degrees and the delivery person is going to walk really slowly. That's all the stuff that we incorporate into the model, and that still doesn't even need machine learning or AI. So when you add that additional level, it just becomes very difficult for the end user to understand some of these decisions. And so it's got to be done very carefully. But when it is done carefully, the results you're going to get much more accurate predictions about everything that the business does.
Wow.
I love this. Now, I know that I'm taking this into the scope of like what I experience day to day, but I go from client's house to client's house in my job, and I am given just straight 10 minutes travel time no matter what the weather, no matter what the time of day is. Like
whatever the traffic, or if there's construction in Barrie, Ontario.
I get 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I really just need you to talk to my boss, Dan, and talk about.
Yeah, I mean, our system detects things like some buildings, no elevator, you got to go 5 stories.
Oh, yes. Wow.
And then, some legacy systems will penalize drivers on saying, hey, why'd you spend 22 minutes at this location?
Right.
It's supposed to be, it's one item. But their system doesn't know. It hasn't tagged that this is a location in a vertical market with no elevator. So and then all of a sudden you're firing or penalizing drivers, and there's driver shortage when you don't have the right data.
Isn't it interesting to think that the very technology that people are afraid are going to take jobs is actually in essence protecting a job by giving the data that's necessary for them to understand. Dan, can you explain to us, like, just briefly, you mentioned, as we're talking about AI, machine learning, that it's still at a fairly early stage, and we understand that, but can you, like, look into the future for us a little bit and just kind of see where things are going to be going over the next couple of years as far as those technologies go?
Well, I think what you want to do is use them. You can incorporate into almost any use case. For examples being that there's a lot of evidence that if you send a specific person that works for you to the same client over and over, that your customer retention may improve. But then how do you determine the compatibility of which person likes to see which other person? Or we have drivers, for example, in different cohorts of some of them like to work in the suburbs where they don't interact with many people because they're very introverted. And then you have others who want to be constantly interacting with people, so they want to do the business to business stuff
Yeah.
in the downtown. And so you can sit there all the time and you can tag things and you can do all that extra manual labor, but why not use this machine learning technology as an example of matching
That's unreal.
the right people,
Yeah.
the right driver.
We're basically talking about like machine learning saying, oh, well, Sasha would do really well with this particular customer.
Exactly.
And Robbie would do really well with this particular customer. So let's send them out accordingly and improve our turnaround, improve our customer loyalty, which is really, I mean, these days, and certainly in retail, it's something that we're all concerned with, customer loyalty. Like, what's going to keep this customer coming back to me when there are the big companies that are pulling their business away by loss leaders? So that, to use AI for that that's just astonishing. Route for Me, of course, at routeforme.com. Dan, can you share with us a little bit, because some of our viewers have retail companies, some of our viewers provide services that could be fulfilled through logistics application and software to be able to drive that to improve their customer loyalty, their flow of business. How can Route for Me help our viewers and retailers and basically just anyone who falls into that kind of customer base for you?
What we typically see in terms of the segmentation of customers is what we call dynamic routing, and then we call recurring routing. And most businesses fit, let's say, 90% of their transactions into one of those two buckets. Mm-hmm. Dynamic routing businesses have routes that change almost every day. There could be service call industries. It could be parcel delivery. It could anything where the workload changes dynamically, or in waves, like 4 times a day. You got your 8 a.m. shift, your noon shift, 4 p.m. shift, and your night shift. And then you have your recurring routes, and your recurring routes are the pool cleaning people who want their pool cleaned every other Monday, but twice before their relatives visit them, and one more time after their relatives visit them. So the third one being the hybrid of the first two. And so what customers are encouraged to do is to load up their customer list, and they could synchronize from their QuickBooks, it could synchronize from whatever CRM system they're using, and then they set their schedules, or they upload their files, or they import their orders from an order management system or point of sale system. Yeah. And a system like ours will then take the physical and geographical locations of those customers, plus the available workers that the people have, or subcontractors. Yeah. And then it will say, okay, go here at 8 a.m., go here at 9 a.m., and so on and so forth. And then by day of the week, it'll curate every single thing they have to do, so that if you do have to send a manager once a month and a regional manager once a quarter to your customer, it can orchestrate all of that automatically. Wow. And then you can actually keep track of where the driver was, down to every 10 seconds. The app will tell you where they were, when they got there, get a signature, get a picture confirmation. So it really protects the business as well from bad customers, because there's a lot of customers out there saying you didn't do the work, or you broke it, or it came broken. Wow. So this is probably just as good or better than insurance policy, because it provides the ability to evidence all the work that was done, any type of work that was done. Wow. And then if it exposes that there's a bad employee or subcontractor, then that's also a form of protection, because you fix that problem early on instead of it going on for months or years. So Dan, now up until the point, like this very point, I've been skewing this interview toward, and our discussion toward, retail. Right. Because that's what I think of when I think about logistics, and especially at this time of year, because I'm thinking about all the orders that I'm placing for my kids, right? And all the stockings that I have to fill.
But it's more than that.
But I'm in a services company. Like, I'm providing IT services, and I have staff and team players that are in the field providing IT services and on-site service for support customers and MSP customers who are paying for service on a monthly basis. So are you saying that Route for Me is going to not only assist with the retailers and that kind of logistics, shipping logistics, but also with the support and services industries?
For sure. And in fact, on the software side, on the sell side of the software, we almost look at parcel as a dying business. And when I say a dying business, I mean for the software providers, and that there's very few companies that are actually at scale with sufficient density to continue doing parcel deliveries. There's probably 5 to 10 of them at the most. And the top 3 are so vertically integrated that there is very little room for anyone besides them to actually do the fulfillment and still make a reasonable profit for it to be worth their time. So what that means is, in fact, that for parcel, it's not that big, it's not that interesting. But what about a refrigerator? That you're not going to send that by any courier. You're going to send that potentially from a local on a box truck. So that's where it makes sense. Furniture delivery, that e-commerce of bulky items is where things are going to really start to heat up, because those are expensive, they're heavy, you need a special vehicle, the vehicle needs special equipment, people need to be trained on the equipment, and then you have to match up the vehicle height potentially with the loading dock height if you're doing a B2B delivery, so that you're sending the right vehicle to the right place based on, does it have a lift in the back? Does it have a hand truck storage space? Et cetera, et cetera.
Is the driver equipped and insured and allowed to drive the forklift in order to lift this device?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then, or do they need a buddy driver in addition to them? So, because it's a team lift and it's heavy. So there's a lot of moving parts, but we're skewing more towards that. The next 10 to 20 years are going to be more about actually field service, field operations, field sales, field marketing, and less on delivering boxes and parcels, and more on the bigger items and the services. Okay.
So route4me.com, and that's the number 4. Route4me.com. You're going to learn all about Dan's company. So it sounds like this could benefit even a small IT firm such as mine, where we're sending people into the field, and I need to be able to, like, imagine being able to allow machine learning. I mean, so many thoughts are going through my mind here, Dan. To allow machine learning to plan out the routes and the support for the IT team, to maximize productivity. I mean, they're getting paid by the hour to be in the office.
Yes, I said aloud today at work, I wish a computer could do this, because
just like plan my routes so that I can like maximize productivity.
Right. I feel so bad for the people in the office who, when a client calls in and needs to change one appointment, it kind of domino affects everything. Well, if that was just inputted in and the computer said, okay, well, now you're not going to see this client at this time, but you're going to see these 3 other clients kind of staggered in a different way. And everything fits, right?
We're talking very different industries here. These are 3 different industries we've talked about. We've got IT services, which is me. We've got personal support worker services and
me.
Caring for the elderly, which is Sasha, and retail as well.
Exactly.
Dan, can you share with us just quickly, so we know route4me.com is where to go to find out more information. Is there a particular methodology that you prefer or that would work really well for our viewers who are thinking, hey, I'd like to know more about this and how Route4Me services could help to improve the logistics of my company? What's the best method to pursue that?
So they're primarily one of the, I would say, transformative things that's happened in the industry is that probably 2 or 3 organizations like ours have what we call a self-service trial. The remaining companies are continuing to sell legacy software on premises that is just at this point too expensive to rewrite, and to put it on the cloud. And so what we encourage people to do is to take a free test drive of the software. They sign up. They could use Google SSO. They don't even have to fill out a form. You get a 7-day trial. We have a marketplace. All our modules are there. You pick whatever you think your company needs. It's all broken up by and unbundled by module, so you only pay for what you need. And then you use the trial for 7 days. You could upload routes. You could share them with a driver. You could even put in your customer's phone number, and the system will notify them that there's a person coming, show them on a map where that vehicle is. You can control how soon you want to show them so that they don't rob your car if you've got something valuable on it. So, show it only when it's around the corner. And so that's one way.
Good thought.
The other way is that's more for the team. I would say 2 or more people who are going to use it. If it's for individual use, like a prosumer or a sole proprietor, we have the mobile apps. The mobile apps have 90% of the functionality of the web app. They're top 5 or top 10 highest grossing navigation apps globally in both app stores for the last 10 years. You could get the mobile app. Again, it's a free trial. You can import route the addresses, plan the stops, do whatever you want. And then when your business matures enough that you need multi-driver, multi-day routing, etc., then you just go to the web plan. So there's an entry point for every stage of a small business and a mid-sized business. And then there's a third one. If you do have a larger organization, let's say hundreds or thousands of people, and you need a more hands-on and more consultative type of approach, then just use the contact form and tell us about your use case, your unique needs, and then we help you figure out, is that something we have off the shelf? We just need to customize things a little bit, and we work one-on-one with organizations that have unique needs. And today was another example that we had a client who wants to optimize the routes, not by distance, not by time, but by the amount of money they're paying per ton of what they're moving.
Yeah.
And their contracts are structured in a way where they're billed by the distance to the last destination. And so they want to completely adjust their routes based on how their contracts are structured, and which are contrary to what most people feel is the optimal. But for them, it's optimal. It's not about time or distance. It's about weight per ton to the final destination.
What's that going to cost me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Very adaptive to various industries. I love that. And realistically, the logistics industry is changing, and we know that like IT industries are changing, and the ability to provision product is like, that's all changing. And very, very rapidly. I think machine learning and AI has some to do with that. And so as businesses, we have to kind of stay ahead of that curve.
Right.
So we need companies that are already ahead of the curve to help us to be able to provision what our customers need, which is the logistics, in order to provision them with the services that they're demanding.
Right.
And I need to be able to maximize the staff hours. I need to be able to maximize the ability to get product out while minimizing cost, as you're mentioning, like the cost per ton. Well, how can we minimize our cost per ton and maximize, like, how much can we get out in a single shipment? So we look at services like routeforme.com. So route and the number 4me.com. And Dan, we appreciate your time today and sharing with us about your service, and we look forward to all that's to come. And it's really, really interesting to see how the logistics industry is really being shaped by technology itself. I mean, that's the driving factor here. So we need to stay on top of it. You can visit routeforme.com to find out more. Dan, thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Cheers. We do have to take a really quick break. When we return, we're going to be looking at a portable charger that is so incredibly powerful it's going to blow your mind, but it's not going to blow your wallet. Stick around. Welcome back, everyone. This is Category 5 Technology TV. Sasha, do you use a smartphone?
Yes.
Do you use, like, Bluetooth headphones?
Yes.
Any other chargeable devices? What do you have to charge? My kids are like, they've got their action cams.
Yeah.
They're constantly charging those.
My Fitbit.
Through portable chargers, I'm thinking.
My Fitbit.
Fitbit?
My Switch.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
What else do I charge?
Yeah, Nintendo Switch is USB-C.
Yes. What else do I... I guess my dash cam, but usually that's in my car.
That comes off of the 12 volt.
Yeah. But if I wanted to take it outside of the car, I would need to keep power on it if I wanted to use it for anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Interesting that you mentioned the Switch.
Yes.
And I want to circle back to that.
Okay.
Because typically a portable charger doesn't have enough power to power something like a Switch.
Right.
But what if I could tell you that the RAV Power... Okay, I've been really impressed with RAV Power, folks.
RAV Power.
What did that do when I hit that down? It made quite a noise. cat5.tv/portable is where you're going to find this. Yeah, RAV Power, they make the batteries that we use in most of our lighting rigs here at the studio and everything else. Mm-hmm. But what is really, really cool about what they've got with this particular power bank, which I'm going to get into the box. Should I get into the box?
Yes.
Is a power bank that is an insane amount of power. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
26,800 milliamp hours.
Can you... Okay.
26,000...
Break that down to...
800 milliamp hours.
What is that?
Do you want me to break that down? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm actually just going to jump into the box here.
Break down the box and break down that.
It's not any bigger than my traditional, like, power brick. I'm going to push the button and see if it's charged. Did it come with a charge? It did. The lights light up, so I can actually see that. This particular power brick, Sasha.
Yes.
It has 2 iSmart ports. That is like fast charge. It has a USB Type-C.
Okay.
And it has an input port, which is USB micro. So that's for charging. Feel that.
Oh, yeah.
What else is in the box? Okay, let's quickly get in the box. Did I mention 26,800 milliamp hours? So I want to put that into context for a second.
Please.
This will power a MacBook Pro. This will charge your MacBook Pro, and it fits in your pocket. It fits in your duffel bag or your laptop bag. Oh, this is like a nice little carrying
case.
A fancy carrying case for
Mesh.
it. They've thought of everything, RAV Power. That's a USB micro cable to charge that device, so that allows you to charge it from your standard USB output. This is another USB micro, so I guess you could plug this into the iSmart ports in order to charge your phone and another device, right? Or you can reverse it and put it into the input port and charge your actual RAV Power device. Okay. All right. What else is in the box? Let's see. This looks like USB-C. Yeah. Yes, that's a USB-C cable. So that will allow you to charge your, let's say, your notebook computer. Can you imagine that you can actually charge your notebook computer from this? So anyone who has a Pinebook or a Pinebook Pro,
that's what you need.
You can actually charge your Pinebook Pro from this device. Probably multiple times. This will charge a Nintendo Switch. Because this has a USB-C output, and it came with a USB-C cable. This will actually charge your Nintendo Switch 3, maybe 4 times on a single charge. And to boot, Sasha, are you ready for this?
I'm ready for
it. The standard charger takes like 14 hours. Mm-hmm. This will take like 4.
How do they do that?
Because it's got iSmart. It's fast charge.
Okay.
It pumps the juice into the Nintendo Switch. Yeah.
And go.
Exactly. It's just like, hey, Nintendo Switch, let's juice you up.
Is this new magic?
Like it is new. Yes, it's exactly new magic. That's exactly right. What else have I got for you as far as specifications go? Okay. It will charge an iPhone 10. This is the brand new iPhone.
Okay.
5 times. 5 times on a single charge. Okay, and the iPhone 10, of course, has got really good battery life as it is. So what's that, like 5 days worth of charge? It's got enough power to charge your MacBook Pro and keep it going, your Raspberry Pi. Think about that. We've looked at the Pi Voyager as a battery backup solution for the Raspberry Pi. But what about putting this in the field, connecting the input to like a solar panel, and allowing it to charge this?
I love that.
How many milliamp hours is this? 26,800.
I don't understand. My brain
How many
doesn't
years
understand
will the
what that
Raspberry...
is. My brain doesn't get what that means. Like,
well, your standard batteries are like you might get like a couple thousand milliamp hours.
Okay. And this is 26,800.
Yeah, on a single charge.
Right. It's not that heavy for all its
It really isn't.
craziness.
But so plug this into a Raspberry Pi or another single board computer. Let's throw a Odroid XU4 on here and see how long we can power it for. We're going to power it from the battery like infinitely. Because as soon as the sun comes up, the solar panels are going to recharge this. If you put solar panels on it. I'm just using that as an example. But it's a ton of power. But that said, you could plug your Raspberry Pi into this as a server or whatever, take it elsewhere, and it's still powered. And then you switch it over to the power on the AC, and
you're good.
It's never down. You're always up if you're using it as a server or something like that. All right, what do we got? 30 watt Type-C, so 30 full watts. When I was mentioning the Nintendo Switch, just a quick note for you.
Yes.
You can actually charge it from this and power it from this while playing it. So I want to be clear. Not with the HDMI, of course, because the HDMI uses the USB-C. But if you're just using the screen, you'd be able to charge your Nintendo Switch while you're playing it. And then as soon as it's finished charging, put it back on the HDMI if you wanted to put it up on the TV.
Right. But like
maybe
if I'm
in a power
airport,
outage.
I'm thinking like I'm in the airport.
In an airport, in a power outage, in like a natural disaster, you want to play Mario Kart 8. I'm sure you probably do.
And you do.
Very, very important in those instances.
You want to escape reality in a natural disaster and be playing your Switch.
Exactly. So I talked about plugging in expensive hardware like a Nintendo Switch, plugging in your MacBook Pro, plugging in your Pinebook Pro. Well, what kind of protection is there against surges and things like that? There is. Surge protection built into it. How do you like that? It's got overcharge, short circuit, and surge protection. So it will not overcharge your device. It has protection against that. It will not short circuit your device. It has protection against that. All built into this little thing.
Would it keep your device? You know how sometimes when you're charging something, it gets really hot? What is that? Will it keep that from happening?
That's heat.
Oh.
Heat? No, heat is good.
Heat is good.
Yeah, heat is the transfer of electricity.
Okay, so the heat's
as long as it's not unsafe. Like if it's on fire, then you're probably not. You don't have surge protection. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, heat is the transfer of electricity will result in heat.
Okay,
that's inevitable.
Okay.
So yeah, you're going to generate a little bit of heat when you're transferring things over, when your Raspberry Pi is powered up from it or from AC or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to encounter that. That's it, folks. Hey, 3.4 amp iSmart ports out of a battery. That's better than most of my power supplies that I plug into the wall. So it's fantastic.
If Dave were to get this for Christmas, where would he get it from?
If Dave was to get this
I know, Dave gets all the things I want for Christmas. It's so weird.
If you want this for Christmas, it's cat5.tv/portable Sasha. If you're watching this live, of course, that will be up after the show. But that's all that I need to say about that. I'm just very, very impressed. I mean, you got to think about that. 3.4 amps coming out of the iSmart ports.
Yeah.
And when I work with single board computers all the time, like I always want portability, I want power, and this is going to give me way more than enough for something like a Raspberry Pi.
Right.
I'm very, very pleased with that. But looking back, your headphones, you can charge them from this. You can charge your whatever you want. You just plug it in. It's USB.
If you're a traveler, you need that. That's how
Absolutely.
I feel.
On the road again, get your Rav Power. It'll keep you powered up. That's the new quote. And you have to say it that way.
Just like that.
But hey, we have to head over to the newsroom, Sasha. I'm going to set that down there. If you're ready to head over. Yes, just like that. Just throw it across the room. They are indestructible, by the way. They're not indestructible. Do not ever.
Don't throw
hold
it on
me
the
to
floor
that.
like Robbie just did.
Yes, they're not.
And Robbie gives you one of those.
Oh my
for
goodness, it's on
Christmas.
fire.
It does not work.
That's all there is to it. Okay, Sasha, if you're ready, we're going to head right over. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay.
Here's what's coming up in the Category 5.tv newsroom. The U.S. Interior Department is grounding its entire drone fleet for fear it could be used against them. Google is buying Fitbit and promises that they will not exploit all that health data to serve ads. Microsoft Edge is coming to Linux. The late James Dean is getting digitally restored for an upcoming movie. And many on the internet, including Chris Evans, aren't happy. Stick around, the full details are coming up later in the show.
This is the Category 5.tv newsroom, covering the week's top tech stories with a slight Linux bias.
Rickman joined this week by Robbie Ferguson.
Some quick honorable mentions this week, Sasha. SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket deployed 60 Starlink satellites into Earth's orbit this week. That was just Monday. Did you? I don't know if you at home caught the video. I was watching live, and it was astonishing.
Oh, I bet.
To think that an independent company has sent a shuttle, basically, up into the Earth's orbit and released 60 satellites. So what does that mean? Well, 60 satellites. Okay, well, why do we need more satellites? What they're doing is creating the Starlink technology. So now, I believe, my theory is that Elon Musk, who plans to go to Mars, is going to be uplinking our internet service here on Earth with Mars. I think that's a very distinct possibility.
That's
Otherwise,
plausible.
why is he so keen on getting satellites into the Earth's orbit that are the internet? However, our immediate acknowledgement of what he's doing is what we still rely so much on cable.
Yes.
And I mean wires. I mean like the big honking wire that's under the ocean that brings the internet across the ocean. Like, we're still so heavily reliant on that. So what would happen in a world where we were no longer reliant on that? If a natural disaster happened, let's say a hurricane, right?
Yes.
That would typically take out infrastructure. So we lose our phone, we lose our internet, we're no longer able to communicate with family, we're no longer able to let people know that we're safe, nor are we able to find out what's happening next.
Yes.
Is there a change in the weather? Is there a turn in this?
Is there a place we should meet?
Sure.
Or, yes.
Yeah. So I'm using a natural disaster as a simple but effective example. So now imagine if that internet provision, which internet provides voice over IP phone service, it provides our news, our weather forecasting, and our communication. With internet these days, we have everything that we need as far as communication goes.
I would agree.
Yeah. So imagine if it was not susceptible to land-based natural disaster or war
Right.
or famine or third world, like the inability to create infrastructure within the third world because of simple financial reasons. Right? So you think about those kinds of things and you think, okay, well, let's put a whole bunch of satellites up into orbit, and now we're no longer susceptible to those things. So now when natural disaster strikes, everyone still has communication within that zone. When the third world countries need access to high-speed internet for education, they have that. So that's the immediate thing that's happening here with Starlink, and that is now underway. And there are other things, like I mentioned, independent. Like, this is not NASA.
Be on Mars.
Yes. But immediately, this is not NASA. This is not government funded. This is not a government of the world that has come and said, okay, we're going to send something up into space. No, this is an independent company. And whatever you believe about Elon Musk, I think he's a genius. He's a brilliant man. And he's doing something that has never been done before. And we're about to see some shift in the technology. We're about to see a shift in how things work around here. And certainly I think he's planning for the future. And when I say Mars, I'm thinking, we know that that's his long-term end game.
Yeah.
Elon Musk. And if that's his long-term end game, well, why is he putting satellites into the Earth's orbit that have internet access? And is that going to allow communication with Mars?
Yeah.
which is mind-bending to me. That's sci-fi, and yet this is actually happening right now. Also, in our honorable mentions, Google is attempting to combat the growing Play Store malware issue, and they've actually formed an app defense alliance which brings technology from ESET, Lookout, and Zimperium to the Play Store. So you might have actually noticed that now, when you install an app on Android, it gets scanned first.
Yes.
So Android or Google has said, okay, well, that's not our specialty, the malware thing. ESET's already doing a fantastic job of this. So let's work with ESET. Let's allow ESET to create something for our app store. And we're working with these other companies through this alliance as well. And so it's going to reduce the amount of malware because it's scanning everything that goes into our phones through the app store. And I think it's a good thing. It's a very good thing.
That is a good thing. It's preventative measure, right?
It really is, but it's also, these are third parties. So these are not Google. Mm-hmm. They're aligned with Google, which is good for them, but there are those who are afraid of, or I shouldn't use the word afraid, who are a little bit on edge about monopolization.
Right.
There are the big three. And
Yes.
Google is one of them. And you know, if there's so much power. So if Google has all control.
Yeah, you can't say buy this from Google and Google says that it's safe.
Yeah.
Or,
so now
like-
we've got third parties that are involved.
Yeah.
And third parties that are saying, yes, this is safe.
It feels better.
Yeah.
Even if those third parties
I think
were
it's
owned
definitely
by
a good
Google.
step. It's definitely a good step, but it's also a little bit funny because, you know, the malware problem is like, so they're taking a different approach to Microsoft. Microsoft has said, oh, well, we'll just create a antivirus within our operating system that's garbage, by the way, but we'll put it in there. And Google is saying, no, that's not our specialty. We're going to let the pros do this, and we're going to let them take care of the malware issue. It's an interesting case.
Yes.
And finally, in our honorable mentions this week, NASA scientists opened an untouched rock and oil sample from the moon that was returned to Earth on Apollo 17. That marks the first time in more than 40 years that a pristine sample from the Apollo era has been opened. And what's really, really cool about this, Sasha, is that we've seen pictures of the X-ray data from 40 years ago of those samples.
Right.
And it's like blurry. And now they've shown X-ray photos that are AI enhanced and machine learning enhanced through current 2019 technology. And it's absolutely mind-blowing how the technology has shifted our ability to look at these samples. And just goes to show, like, hey, that was a good move on NASA's part to be able to, you know, set those samples aside and wait for the technology.
Until we had the technology to actually do the soil sample and the...
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the top stories we're following this week.
Okay.
The U.S. Interior Department is grounding its entire drone fleet for fear it could be used against them. Overseas Federal Land and Resource Management says it's grounding its entire aerial drone fleet of more than 800 UAVs out of concern for Chinese spying and drone-aided cyber attacks. Every drone in use by the Interior Department is either manufactured in China or uses some Chinese-made parts. Interior Secretary David Bernhardt made the order 2 weeks ago, and the drones will remain grounded until the department completes a review of the security risks they may pose. Many of the drones are currently used by the department to help with combating forest fires, monitoring dams and floods, inspecting land for property and environmental damage due to erosion, and monitoring endangered species. Some of the concern is centered on whether the drones could be used to transmit data, including photography and video of sensitive U.S. infrastructure that may be the subject of future cyber attacks. The move is the U.S. government's latest escalation in its push to punish Chinese companies for years of alleged trade secret theft, despite the U.S. purchasing billions of dollars in products and equipment from Chinese firms every year. U.S. lawmakers last month introduced a bill that would prevent federal agencies from purchasing drones from China, something that could greatly impact Chinese drone giant DJI's business. Federal agencies have warned against using DJI products in the past, but the company has never faced an outright ban. A spokesperson for DJI said, quote, "As the leader in commercial drone technology, we have worked with the Department of Interior to create a safe and secure drone solution that meets their rigorous requirements, which was developed over the course of 15 months with DOI officials, independent cybersecurity professionals, and experts at NASA. We will continue to support the Department of Interior and provide assistance as it reviews its drone fleet so the agency can quickly resume the use of drones to help federal workers conduct vital operations."
Oh,
End
my.
quote. So,
I hope that the decision to ground the fleet is based upon
security and not politics?
information, we'll say. Because if it's based on politics, and we don't get in, we try not to get into politics here.
Here's what I will say.
Okay.
People love to use drones. People need to use drones now. We have come accustomed to them. We want to
Consumers, you mean?
consumers and industries. I mean, I even just heard in the news today that our local community wants to use drone defibrillators.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so for immediate.
So smart.
Yeah, so drones have become a part of our everyday life.
And can I just inject here?
Yes.
Drones, we're using the term drones, and that's what's in the news story. We're talking quadcopters and hexacopters. We're not talking military units. We're talking devices that are designed to assist.
And we're leaning into that technology. We're not leaning away from it. So if the U.S. wants to stop using amazing DJI drones, they've got to come up with a solution that's better.
American made.
Right? Because the truth of the matter is they make really good products.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to want to dial it back.
Yeah.
They're so good that you almost look past the iffiness of some of it, right?
But is there iffiness? I mean, it sounds to me as though DJI has done their due diligence.
Yeah.
They've worked with the military.
Exactly.
They've worked with the government. They've worked with cybersecurity professionals in order to develop the technology that is in use.
Yeah, I would say that they're doing their part. So why not?
That's how it feels, and I say that with reluctance because there's always the chance, right? But come on. The American government has the power, the manpower, the smarts to reverse engineer firmwares.
Yes.
They can look at what packets are being sent and transmitted. But realistically, we're talking about devices that are designed to assist.
Exactly.
As you mentioned, defibrillation.
Yeah.
I can get a defibrillator to you in minutes rather than having to get it there on an ambulance.
Right.
When you're in the middle, like we're here in Canada, so when you're in the middle of Algonquin Park.
Exactly.
Think about how horrendous it would be if your spouse went into cardiac arrest.
Exactly. If they can drone in a defibrillator, I can keep them alive until paramedics or help comes. Right? Minutes versus the worst case scenario.
And I don't want to discredit that. Okay, so if there is intelligence that says these particular drones that are saving lives are spying on you and sharing the location of the defibrillation unit with the Chinese government because they care, right? They want to. Come on. Realistically, like why? Why does the Chinese government care that you are putting out a fire in this particular area? Like it just doesn't make any sense to me, realistically. Again, if there's intelligence, then let me know. But
I know we don't know the ins
we're not
and
hearing
outs.
that.
It just seems a little bit of a strange, strange play. I'll just leave it at that.
It seems like trade wars.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
That's opinion. I know. I'm sorry.
It does. Yeah, I would like real solid proof that DJI is doing something untoward.
Sure.
I have not yet seen it.
We've yet to see proof that DJI, and we've heard this in the news, and as you mentioned, they've warned against the use of DJI technology. Not because there's anything wrong with them, but because they're Chinese. What the heck?
Yeah. Since when? Since when
I'm not going to comment on that. We stay away from politics. I'll tell you since when, Sasha.
It just drives me
I think you know.
bananas. I do know. Let's just move along.
Let's move along.
Google is buying Fitbit and promises that they will not exploit all that health data to serve ads. Google will pay $2.1 billion to acquire Fitbit, the second largest company in the wearables market, inserting itself into a world increasingly dominated by Apple, and continuing the mass consolidation of consumer technology by the big three corporations, Amazon being the third party. Offering $7.35 a share, Google was prepared to pay a 70% premium to take control of the company, although the overall valuation is not even twice Fitbit's annual revenue, serving to illustrate the company's recent struggles. It is Google's fifth largest acquisition, more than it paid for YouTube or Waze back in the day, and it illustrates two things. First, that Google is increasingly focused on hardware following its Nest and Motorola acquisitions. And second, that wherever Apple or Amazon go, Google follows. Google's efforts to repeat its approach to the mobile phone market with Wear OS took a hit last year when Huawei ditched it in favor of its own homegrown operating system. Google clearly decided that it needed to control some hardware in the market and so guarantee a foothold, and a $2 billion acquisition of Fitbit was the answer. The biggest concern about the acquisition, given Google's business model, is what the web giant will now do with the vast amounts of personal data it will now acquire. Senior VP of Devices and Services Rick Osterlund addressed this point, saying, "When you use our products, you're trusting Google with your information. We understand this is a big responsibility, and we work hard to protect your information, put you in control, and give you transparency about your data," end quote. He goes on to clarify, quote, "Similar to our other products, with wearables, we will be transparent about the data we collect and why. We will never sell personal information to anyone. Fitbit health and wellness data will not be used for Google Ads, and we will give Fitbit users the choice to review, move, or delete their data," end quote. Fitbit customers have been complaining for years about the declining quality of its products and software, so Google's inevitable migration to its system will probably result in a better user experience over time. Looking at the bigger picture, however, the acquisition of Fitbit will only add to arguments by governments and regulators that the big three, Google, Apple, and Amazon, have too much power and are reducing competition across a whole range of markets.
Yeah. And I think data is the currency these days.
Right.
That's really, really true.
And do you know how much data Fitbit has on
Do you
me?
know?
I do know.
What are you wearing on your
wear
wrist?
a Fitbit.
Look at this.
There is nothing.
She's got a Google device on her wrist.
So here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love Fitbit.
Yes.
I also actually love Google. But
Independently of one another?
Independently.
What if they were amalgamated?
I don't love them to be able to marry together data points about me that I would like to keep separate.
Okay.
And I think that they'll now have that, right?
Well, they now
They'll have
know your heart rate.
They'll know my heart rate and my location.
Yes.
They know
Where you shop.
They know where they know where I shop. They even know what I weigh.
They do anyways.
Like
You've got an Android phone, so they know where you are.
Yeah. But I
Which
feel
works
like,
fantastically. This is why a Starbucks opened up on my route to work.
Right,
Because they knew where I travel.
Fitbit knows health things about me.
Sure.
And I'm okay with that. Google doesn't know health things about me. Right? Like,
Okay.
Google doesn't know how I sleep at night. Fitbit does.
Oh.
Fitbit knows exactly how well I've slept at night.
That's interesting.
Right? Google might find out that I am more apt to buy something when I've had less than 7 hours of sleep.
Sure.
And then they say that they're not going to push
They
ads.
say that.
They can say that.
They're
Of
not
course they
idiots,
can.
though.
No.
They'll find a way.
If I were Google, I would say that too.
Yeah. Of course they'd say that.
Because the truth of the matter is,
but there has to be truth
now,
in it.
like I weigh myself daily on my Fitbit scale.
Okay.
If my weight goes up, Google's now going to send me something.
New jeans?
Probably. Right? Like everything.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm not sure about this whole Fitbit and Google marriage. Even though I love both of them, I don't know which one I need to break up with.
Even in our chat room, Noman5 is having trouble with this whole marriage of Google and Fitbit, saying that he's thinking about stopping using his Fitbit just because of this.
And at first, when I first heard this story, it was DJ Wheels that sent it to me first. And when I first heard the story, I was excited.
Oh, yes?
Because I love both of them. But then I kind of like let it marinate a little bit inside my head, and I thought, no, I don't want, like, Fitbit knows details about my health. Like, they know my what I eat, my liquid input, mostly because I add that in, but
drinking the water.
Exactly. But they know sleep, but Google knows my driving habits because I have Google Maps.
Well, now it's all
if I don't sleep,
consolidated together.
What if I don't sleep well and then I get into a car accident?
Right. They're going to know that.
Yeah.
The government is involved. Whoa.
What if my insurance finds out?
Well, they will, because Google's going to buy your insurance company.
Yeah.
You watch, because they're just buying up companies like this.
Like it gets complicated when you start thinking, okay, well, now am I going to be declined something that I want, like say some sort of critical illness insurance, because now they can see that I don't eat right or sleep well, or I do all of those very well. But this is it. This is hypothetical. Or, if my BMI has been increasing or my heart rate's a little off the chart.
It's an interesting thought, and it really sounds sci-fi to me.
Yeah.
But we're seeing it take place. Like, we're at that early stage of this.
Right. But then at the same time, it's kind of cool to think that they would be able to monitor the heart rate of everybody in a traffic jam.
And it makes absolutely sense as an acquisition.
Oh,
Google needed to make this move, and Fitbit needed it.
Fitbit has been not fabulous.
And I'll just say that Fitbit was on its way down. So Fitbit will have gone out of business.
Yes.
So if you love Fitbit, if you use your Fitbit device, well, think of it this way, Google saved it. So your device is going to keep working thanks to Google.
Yes.
Plain and simple.
I'm just having a really hard time with it. It feels very...
I think what you're going to have to do, Sasha, and viewers who use Fitbit, is keep an eye on the changes in the privacy terms. Keep an eye on the terms and service. Keep an eye on changes in the rights that they have access to your data and what they're allowed to use that data for. Right. Because as they've said, so there's clever wording here, and think about that, and you're not going to hear this on traditional news media, but there's clever wording here when they're saying we are not going to use your data for this and that and advertising.
We're not going to use it for ads. But
no, we're not.
There's a ton of other things they could use it for.
But we're going to collect that data.
Yeah.
So remember, they're collecting it. They're holding on to it. It is part of the data, the data set that is you. And then as those terms and conditions change 5 years from now, when people forget about the acquisition and just trust that this thing is working, if they don't read those terms and conditions, now all of a sudden, well, I am getting new gene advertising. Or I am getting some skewed results when I Google things.
Yeah, or how integrated might it become with the medical industry? And I say that because Fitbit recently sent me a little push notification. Did you know that you can print yourself a report to take to your doctor that shows you? See,
that's cool, though. That's neat.
So I did it. I didn't print it. I PDF printed it, but... And I loved it. I thought, wow, I don't have any need to go to the doctor right now. But if I did, I would bring this, and it shows tracking of your highs and your lows of every marker and your
How'd you sleep last night? Well, here you go. Check out my report.
Exactly. This is the worst sleep I've ever had, the best sleep I've ever had, and here's the average. I love it. But at what point does the doctor automatically get that as opposed to me sharing it? Right? And then
there
the
will come a
doctor
time,
says to me, calls me up and says, you need to come in because I've noticed that your heart rate's off the charts. I haven't noticed that. AI has told me.
Hey, Robbie, your BMI is really high.
Yeah, I was dinged that your heart rate is kind of crazy right now.
There's too much alcohol in your system.
Yeah, it's a little bit like Minority Report or something to me.
It can get that way.
Yeah. We've got to take a quick break. The Crypto Report and more of this week's top tech stories are coming up. Don't go anywhere.
The Category 5.tv newsroom, and looking at the crypto market, Sasha, and how things have changed over the past week as far as the Category 5 crypto report goes. So you can find that at category5.tv/crypto report. Yeah. Things have not really changed a lot. However, Bitcoin has lost a fair bit, losing over $500. It's down at $8,778.71 US dollars. That's the value of a single Bitcoin. We're still looking for Libra, but it's not trading yet. We've got Litecoin also losing $1.61. It's at $61.45. We've got the Ethereum coin, which is the only coin that we are currently tracking that gained this week.
Okay.
Gaining just a little bit. It's up at $186.20. Monero is at $62.89, pretty much on par with where it was last week. Scala is at 0.29 thousandths of a cent. And Turtle Coin, interestingly, about midweek last week, we saw it starting to spike. We saw it starting to climb, and I was like, what is happening? Are we finally going to the moon? And then it dropped back down.
That's the thing with the crypto report is that I wonder what happens from week to week, because like Bitcoin or Turtle Coin could just be like and then
over the
stay kind of the same from one week to the next, because it is so crazy.
And those micro coins really can fluctuate. So you can get really, really excited about the Turtle Coin, because like a fluctuation when you're talking about 10 thousandths of a cent could only be a 1 cent fluctuation. Right. But it's huge as far as graphs go, right? When you look at Bitcoin, which is hovering around $9,000 per coin, a 1 cent differential is not going to make a difference whatsoever. Yeah. So, but do remember, as Sasha was saying, like it's always moving, it's always changing. The crypto market never closes. It's open 24/7. That means if I go to bed at night thinking I'm doing really, really well with my cryptocurrency, I could get up in the morning and it's completely skewed the other way. So when you invest, when you spend anything on cryptocurrency, our recommendation here at Category 5 TV is to only spend what you can afford to lose. It is a gamble to get involved in cryptocurrency whatsoever.
I will say in the crypto report, my favorite is Turtle Coin, only because I love the name. I can just picture these these tiny little baby turtles that just like erupted from their shells in the beachy sand.
See, that's
and they're
exactly
just, like,
how it works.
Running to the ocean, and they're trying so hard, and I'm like,
it's
go
exactly
little
how
guys.
it works, folks. Yeah, that's all you have to just stand by the ocean and wait.
And
to
one
travel
day
to the moon.
You'll go to the moon.
Yes, we're on our way there, folks.
Microsoft Edge is coming to Linux. News that a Linux port of the Chromium-based Edge browser is on the way isn't too much of a surprise, given that Microsoft developers have teased the possibility several times before. They've previously gone on record as saying that Edge for Linux is something that we'd like to do and something that would happen eventually. They even launched a survey to scope out feedback on the idea from existing Linux users. But now Edge for Linux is official, and Microsoft says it will be out next year. When Microsoft announced it was rebuilding its Edge browser on top of Chromium, the likelihood of a native Linux port increased substantially due to the cross-platform nature of the codebase. After all, an assortment of Chromium-based web browsers already support Linux, including Google Chrome, Vivaldi, Opera, Yandex, and SRware Iron. For its part, though, Microsoft seems to be understanding how open source works. Edge has become an active contributing member to the Chromium open source project, which means work done for Edge can in turn benefit other browsers, including ones you might actually want to use.
I I'm actually glad that you made that statement, because the whole time you're talking, I'm thinking,
Wah, wah, wah.
who cares?
Yeah. Wah, wah, wah.
It's like Microsoft doesn't at all understand the industry. And this is Microsoft.
Yeah.
Nobody, and I speak generally, I may be generalizing here, but nobody who is proficient enough on their computer to be a proficient Linux user wants Edge.
No.
Period.
Zero.
However, then you said that they're contributing back to open source and it may assist the Chromium project. And so I'm like, okay, that's kind of nice of them. If it's good, I want to see their commits. I want to see their PRs. I want to see what they're contributing back and whether it's actually worth our while.
Is there any chance
care.
that they would ever do something where they weren't getting more than they were giving?
Microsoft?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on now. No, they own GitHub, so they're always going to be getting more than they're giving.
Always.
Period.
Yes.
Period. And they have machine learning, and they have AI that can culminate the data on GitHub and pull it all into their own projects, for sure.
It's not surprising, I don't think.
I do have Windows 10 on a couple of my computers at work. I have to for certain things.
Yeah.
And I don't use Edge on those because it sucks.
Yeah.
And nobody should use Edge.
I don't think... does anybody actually use Edge? Does anybody?
I think the only people that I've ever encountered, Sasha, who use Edge, and you can correct me if you're a diehard Edge lover,
please let me know.
You can correct me, but I think that the only people who use it are those who accidentally use it.
Yeah.
They look at the E and they think it's Internet Explorer because they're so novice that they don't understand.
Yeah, I feel like
anything about anything.
If I was on Edge, it would be like I was standing in a desert and I'm like,
if
hello,
she's on Edge.
Anybody out there?
If you're on your...
Nobody's there.
Some people might be thinking, oh, but I think I use the E. The blue E. And if you do, bring up the blue E and type in install Chrome.
That's better.
Yeah. And just see what happens. And it's interesting that when you do that, Edge will say, oh, but Edge is faster and Edge is better. It's like, dude, just back off, man. This is like the needy boyfriend, right? That's like, oh, I'm so much better than I can do better. Please give me another chance.
Are you sure? I felt like that Facebook did that to me when I broke up with it. Like, are you sure this face will miss you?
Oh dear, no. Like Chrome, Firefox. I'm not in love with Firefox right now. Mozilla's making some really bad decisions, but that is, that's between me and Firefox. We'll have it out eventually. I use Chrome for the most part.
I feel like I only use Chrome always, ever. I think
also the integration of Google's software, Google's services, because I've been using Google Drive a lot, Google Docs, and so that's where I do a lot of my because I can open them just like having Word.
Yes.
On all of my computers. Doesn't matter if they're Linux, Windows, Mac. Doesn't matter.
I know.
And so I love that. And it doesn't even matter if they're powerful enough, or I don't have to have software licenses. I just log in and I'm in.
I know.
So I do like Chrome for that.
I definitely love it.
Yeah. This is not a Chrome advertisement. This is an anti-Edge
Let's dial it back a little. My love for Chrome runs deep.
But understand, though, so just quickly, because I know we've got to move on.
Okay.
But Chrome, which we love, is based on Chromium.
Yes.
Edge, which we despise, is based on Chromium. They're both they're the same underlying software.
Right.
Microsoft's Edge browser is dead. Microsoft themselves have killed it and said, this sucks. Microsoft said that, not verbatim. However, they said, we're no longer going to develop it based on our own code base. We're going to base it on the same code base that Chrome uses.
Right.
Our Edge is sucking so bad, we're going to make it based on Chrome. So they're actually Edge is based on Chrome now, basically.
It's just like a Chrome Echo. You should just change the name.
Yeah. So I'm just like, so putting that into perspective. So yeah, they might give back, and we'll see what they give back. But I think it's all just nobody wants it. Nobody wants it.
No.
Don't put it on Linux. But and that bothers me because no Linux user wants Edge, right?
I would assume so. Correct us. For
I
real.
want to be, but
correct us. If you love Linux and also Edge, let me know.
And I will
wonder about your...
I will pray for you.
Yeah.
No, but what bothers me about this is that I feel like this is one of those tactics by a big company that's going to say, we tried Linux. Adobe, we tried Linux, and it just, game developers, we tried Linux.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, well, it didn't really fly. Well, so we tried Linux, we brought our Edge browser to Linux, and people didn't like it, so we're just not going to support the open source. It just feels like that. No.
Wouldn't it be crazy?
They're not stupid.
Yeah, they're not
Nobody wants Edge on Linux.
Yeah.
Nobody.
So.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So it feels like this is a tactic. They're saying, here's Edge for Linux. Here you go. Install and enjoy. Oh, nobody installed it. Oh, I guess. Well, Linux is not for. We're not going to support Linux. We're not going to put our investment dollars into Linux. Our development time. Doesn't it feel that way?
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. It's not based on anything factual.
It'd be weird if we did like a 5-year update on this story, and we're like, oh, we were wrong.
Let's look
now
back.
Loves Edge.
Everybody make it. Yeah. Robbie's like, I'm going to show you the latest features in Edge. Finally, here we are. 5 years later, we have plugins.
Yeah. New feature
That would be wonderful.
Okay. The late James Dean is getting digitally restored for an upcoming movie, and many on the internet, including Chris Evans, aren't happy. Magic City Films has announced that, thanks to movie magic technology, it has cast Dean in its upcoming drama, Finding Jack. But he died in a car crash in 1955 when he was just 24 years old. Dean only appeared in 3 feature films before his death and has been cast posthumously as a secondary character in the coming Vietnam War drama. Fans of the actor weren't exactly excited about the news on social media. Zelda Williams, actor and daughter of the late Robin Williams, tweeted, quote, "Publicity stunt or not, this is puppeteering of the dead for their clout alone, and it sets such an awful precedent for the future of performance," end quote. The recently launched production house Magic City Films obtained the rights to use Dean's image from his family. Co-director Anton Ernst says, quote, "We feel very honored that his family supports us and will take every precaution to ensure that his legacy as one of the most epic film stars to date is kept firmly intact," end quote. While Finding Jack will be live action, Dean's performance will be constructed via full-body CGI using actual footage and photos. Another actor will voice him.
Unbelievable that we're there.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen deep fakes.
Yeah.
They're incredible. Mind-blowing. Now they're going to create the actor. And I know that's been done before in some ways.
Oh, yeah. We've seen performances done by major stars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
this is taking somebody who created films in the 50s, bringing him back to life in color.
I am not opposed to this.
Okay.
I am not opposed to this. I like it, actually. I
and
think
you've
that
expressed an interest in this type of technology before.
Yes. It feels a little tiny bit Black Mirror. But
yes.
But in
has
a good
enough
way.
time passed, though? I could say...
So. He's 88. Or he would have been
88 years old, yeah.
I feel like, and I might be speaking out of turn, but if I were James Dean and 88 years old, I would want to see myself
as a youth.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
I think that this will be an incredible I'm assuming they'll be honoring him. They're not going to be doing something.
That's the idea.
Right? Like, it would be different if they were, I guess, throwing him, dragging him through the mud, but...
No, the idea here is they're making his 4th movie. That's the idea. Like, that's the premise here, is that James Dean will be one of the stars, not the leading role, but a star in his 4th movie.
I am all for this because I would like for that to be able to happen for me or for you.
Sure,
like,
you could have the night off tonight.
Right. Or like one day after I pass, long from now, right?
Yeah. 100 years from now.
Wouldn't it be so cool to be like, this is what Sasha was like to a younger generation? Like,
voiced by Gilbert Godfrey.
Exactly. And I would like to ask to also do this also for River Phoenix. And I realize you'll probably need to get his family's
sure.
permission.
Well, that's too soon.
I don't know.
We're talking about, though, like James Dean.
James
right?
Dean.
And could we start to see, and that's a whole ethical dilemma too, right? Like, when does a human's persona become public domain? Well, is that even a thing?
Right.
But that's going to happen.
If it were Disney, so it would never happen because Disney likes to keep everything locked up forever.
But don't you think that's going to happen?
It's going to happen.
We're at the point now where so much time has passed since recorded history began.
Yes.
And I don't mean like recorded on a stone tablet. I mean recorded like video, audio. We're getting to that point where soon it's going to be 100 years on.
Right.
Then it's going to be 150 years on. In my children's generation, like we're looking 130 years on for some of these actors. And you know, when are we going to see those actors rebirthed and brought back? And where is the moral compass when it comes to that? And is it just up to the estate to make that decision?
I suppose I think it's up to the estate. I think once you've kind of lent yourself to film, you are now part of film. Like, I feel like...
There is that.
Right?
And that's hard for us to accept. But we're seeing, I mean, yeah, when you're
like, I know that...
a celeb, that's...
I know Zelda was saying that she thinks that it's puppeteering of the dead, but...
Yeah.
But it's no different than splicing clips of, you know, say Robin Williams to say something that he didn't say, but not that anybody would have done that, but that's still...
But to be fair to Zelda, I wouldn't bring back Robin Williams. Not now.
Not yet. It's fresh.
80 years from now?
Yes.
Or 50 years from now, maybe that's acceptable.
Yeah.
But not now.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's funny that Chris Evans did voice his concern. Thank you, Captain America.
And a lot of folks have.
But I like
I even
it.
saw Bette Midler tweeting. She was joking about how white male actors get jobs even if they're dead. Like, that's
But see, like,
and it's like, oh,
and maybe I'm just in love with the technology, but I think to myself, wouldn't Bette Midler want to do a movie with her own self, but younger? How cool would that be?
Well, and Will Smith is doing that, in a manner of speaking.
What?
He has a movie that is just that, where he's co-acting with his 20-year-old self, which is really kind of neat.
That's kind of similar technology to this, right? In my mind.
But he's still alive, so he can give the A-OK, and he can act the second actor, and then they just de-age technology. It's a little bit of a different technology for sure, obviously.
Right. But I love it. I'd like to see how it goes.
Will you see it? Will you watch the movie? That's the and this is a question for the community. Comment below. Would you watch it? James Dean, starring in a new movie in 2020. Would you watch it? Or is there an ethical dilemma that prevents you from feeling right about watching and supporting that?
What would that be? There is no ethical... I know. I don't feel like there's an ethical dilemma.
I do say that a little bit. Like, I personally I'd be very interested to see it. But there are those who are really uncool with bringing back an actor who has passed. And I can understand that. I can respect that.
I have a heart. I'm so pro the process that it's hard for me to see the flip side of it. It's hard for me to see the side that's bad about bringing back to light somebody who obviously loved to entertain and let them continue to do so. I don't.
Comment below. Let us know what you think.
Big thanks to Roy W. Nash and our community of viewers for submitting stories to us this week. Thanks for watching the Category 5.tv newsroom. Don't forget to like and subscribe for all your tech news with a slight Linux bias. And if you appreciate what we do, become a patron at patreon.com/newsroom. From the Category 5.tv newsroom, I'm Sasha Rickman.
And I'm Robbie Ferguson. Thanks for being here with us again this week. Hey, the show's not over, folks. We've got one more thing to show you. Stick around. This is Category 5 Technology TV. You know me if you watch the show, and I am very keen on reusing and fixing things rather than discarding and replacing.
Right.
Like, I want to learn so badly. I want to learn how to be able to fix a broken television so that it doesn't end up in a landfill or even e-waste where it's torn down and who knows where the parts end up.
Right.
I want to be able to fix those things. And then I can reuse them, and it's super cheap. I found a monitor on the e-waste pile, and I took it apart and found the problem with it. It was in the power supply. 3 little capacitors. Cost me $12 to fix it. Right?
Yeah.
Perfect. My Christmas lights aren't working. I'm going to spend like $8 to replace the bulbs that need to be replaced rather than the $80 that it would cost me to replace all the strands.
Yeah, so you feel good. There's pride in the work that you've done. You've minimized
It's a
your
lot more
footprint.
work. It's a lot more work.
But it's more fulfilling, right?
And yeah, there is that. I feel a very big sense of accomplishment. And I'll be honest, every time I plug an Ethernet cord into the switch that I fixed, because I got a switch for free, it was going to go in the dump.
Yeah.
And I grabbed it, and I figured out what was wrong with it, and I resoldered the capacitors that needed replacing, and it cost me a couple bucks on Amazon to buy the capacitors. And so every time I use that switch that I fixed, I feel good about it.
Yes.
I feel like I saved that from the landfill, and I feel really good. But sometimes there are things in life that we can't reuse or we can't repair, we can't fix.
Like?
Well, I'm a bit of a coffee drinker, Sasha.
Yes, that you are.
Some of you might be able to relate. I always have a cup of coffee in front of me. In my office, I have a coffee maker where I just make pot after pot. I really do. At home, however, we have a Keurig.
Okay.
A lot of you do. It's convenient. It works really well. It makes a great cup of coffee.
And then?
And then you end up like this. I have a Ziploc bag that is some of the pods.
And your heart just, like, it hurts a little when you look at this.
This is from Sunday. So I was, not all me. Come on. I got 3 kids and a wife at home. Right?
Oh, some of the kids probably don't drink coffee.
No, but there are hot chocolates.
Okay.
Look at that. Hot chocolate salted caramel. Right? Am I right? Like, Keurig is pretty decent. Not an advertisement for Keurig. What I want to talk to you about is what we're putting into the landfill.
Right. So the reason I have a hard time with loving Keurig is look at how big that is.
That's
like,
a big hunk of plastic with some metal and other stuff.
Yeah.
All right?
That's bananas.
So, quickly, cat5.tv/coffee. There's going to be a link for everything that I'm mentioning here. Yes. Everybody in the chat room is using a Keurig.
know. Like,
one of the things that I do love about Keurig is that you can get pods that are refillable and reusable and cleanable.
and those are awesome. You just put 1 scoop coffee.
Yeah. Okay, so this one, which is at cat5.tv/coffee. Now, I've tried multiple. I'm showing you only the best, okay? This one does not require a filter. This is like that reusable filter. So you just rinse it out and then let it dry and then reuse it. There's no need to buy filters for this.
Right.
So the only result of this is compost. Just the coffee grounds.
Yes.
That's it. Okay?
Rinse, reuse.
You can also put tea in it and everything else. So this is fantastic. However, I still like the convenience of the Keurig coffee pods, and I also like to be able to have variety.
Yes.
But then what do? Well, I don't want to sound like a bit of a dork, like, hey, well, you could be using this and saving the environment. Well, but I'm also realistic, okay?
Caramel.
I do want salted caramel. I really, really do.
Who doesn't want salted caramel?
This is fantastic, okay? So have these. Buy these if you use Keurig. You have to get these because they are fantastic. You just fill it up with coffee, you put it in, and I use actually espresso, and I pack it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And don't pack it down too much because then it's going to be too much pressure and it's not going to come out. But if you just pack it down a little bit, it's going to give you a pretty good cup of espresso. It's not as good as like a real cappuccino machine, but it's okay. It's pretty good. Yeah, and it's reusable and there's no waste, okay? So that's pretty good. But I'm realistic. I'm not going to pretend that that's all I do because I do buy these, okay? And I buy them in bulk, and a lot of us do. But the pods, they build up on the counter. They're a pain in the butt to recycle. They are recyclable.
Okay.
Okay? But they're not recyclable like this. I have a cup here for a reason, a bowl here for a reason. They're not recyclable like this. You can't just throw that in the recycle bin.
Peel the top
I'm getting
off,
coffee
or?
grounds all over.
Yeah, you have a bowl and still know you're still doing...
I'm still making a mess. You could peel the top off. It's a pain. And when you have what I showed you there, the bag from just one day's use, that would be a fair bit of work to try to figure out how to get that clean. So I said,
yes.
Wouldn't it be nice, Becca, my wife, if they made some kind of cutter that would allow you to easily make this?
Right.
To fix this so that it can be recycled. And then I got on Amazon and I found it. And it exists. It was my idea, but somebody else already thought of it.
Thought of it first.
And probably patented it and made it.
Okay.
So that's all it looks like. It's got little blades that pop out when you squeeze. And I'm just going to try it right here live on the air.
Okay.
Because this is good TV. So we all know how these are to recycle. They're a pain in the butt. You try to get the lid off, the top off, and it's really, really tough. So I'm just going to snap that on there. This is a used K-cup and turn. That's all there is to it. Now, presumably, I'm going to do that over top of the
green bin.
The green bin, right? But you can see that took no effort whatsoever.
And then it's recyclable.
I'm making a little bit of a mess because I am, just doing it. But yes, that's now, give that a rinse and throw it in the recycle bin. I just
want to see the inside of this guy.
You want to see the inside? Okay. Grab another one.
It has a filter in it.
Yeah, it does.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to grab another one here. This one is from a chocolate-covered cherry hot cocoa. Okay? So just simply have one of these, cat5.tv/coffee, and you're going to be able, and I know I'm just getting a couple here because I'm trying to show the camera at the same time. You're going to do this over your compost or whatever, and it's as simple as I'm just simply turning the K-cup within the this blade apparatus, and that's it. This one, I guess the hot chocolates don't really have anything in them.
Oh, yeah, because they're not caffeinated.
Yeah, but there's no filter, there's no coffee grounds. It was probably like an instant mix, right? But you can see how that just took the top right off. There's no effort to it. I'm just chatting away. And there we go. So this is another way that with my Keurig, I can really, really help the environment. And I do care about that a lot.
Yes.
And I want you to as well. This is something that it only costs you a couple of bucks. You're going to replace it every couple of months. It does come with two, so maybe every 3 to 6 months. And with that, you're going to be able to really, really quickly and easily recycle these. Okay.
That's smart.
And put them in the compost. Like put the grounds in the compost, put the plastic in the recycle, and then you're done. As easy as that. Boom, done. Right? Just do it. Don't even think about it. If you use Keurig, you got to do this. So that's at cat5.tv/coffee, folks. And incidentally, I'll just say that would make both of these would make a really great stocking stuffer. For,
exactly.
The coffee lover on your list that probably has a Keurig device anyways. So there you have it. So But that's all the time that we have this week.
Holy.
Wow. We covered how to recycle coffee pods. We covered some really amazing stuff. This feels like the end of like Romper Room, where I'm just like
cleaning as
I see Marshman, I see Ameridroid, I see the Foo and Nomen 5.
I love the smell of coffee.
Yeah, it smells so good. But that, as I say, that's all the time that we have this week. Folks, next week, I'm really, really excited because our patrons and supporters came together and helped us to be able to replace the broadcast server that we use here at Category 5 TV. And with that, now I actually filmed the process of putting it together. I've got to condense that down into a 1-hour special, and that's happening next week. So if you want to see how that came together, the parts that went into it, the decisions that were made, and we're going to discuss it as well. We're going to find out all about the new broadcast rig here at Category 5 Technology TV. That is next week. But for this week, hey, we're on Twitter. Follow us at Category 5 TV. I'm personally on Twitter at Robbie Ferguson. And don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube and every other platform that we exist on. Please seek us out on every platform. Like us, subscribe to us, and give us the thumbs up.
Do it. Do it now.
That would mean the world to us.
Yes.
Great having you here, folks. Take care. Bye.